All right, so let's see where we are with our timeline. Playing it. Rolls in, gets up, moves around a little, dust is moving. He shakes off the kind of dust from his shell. I want that to be what it feels like with the layer effects. Let's see, it looked a little abrupt right there, where the dust around him stops. So what can I do about that? Well, I can go to individual creature layers and I can adjust those effects. So the gradient overlay, maybe I can lessen it a little bit there. Outer glow, lessen it a little bit. So he starts to shake off this dust. Each time. So it doesn't give me that really strong shift. So that by the time he doesn't have dust anymore, it's not so noticeable. Remember, this is all frame specific. So you're programming this individually for each frame. And he kind of comes out of the dust there. Okay. Now, why I want to go over kind of my failures, what didn't work. The reason I lost my roll and then had to get it back was because I had multiple layers selected as I was trying to move them. And when you have a layer selected, it will apply it to that layer in all frames, which is a bit annoying. Just like I have this layer selected, and when I delete the debris from here, it will delete it from that layer in all frames. Well, that's not where that debris is coming from. Where is that debris coming from? Here it is. So when I delete it from this, it will delete it from that layer in all frames. So be very careful what you have selected. And because I turned one on and off here, now that layer is turned on in all frames. So I have to then select all layers, turn it off, which one is it? Yeah, I guess it's that. And then I have to make sure I turn it on for the layer I want it, which I'm actually going to do with a new layer right here. All right. So do we have a full looping animation now? Let's see. Running lots of animation tests, seeing those layer styles, seeing all the dust around him. He kind of shakes it off, he starts walking, but the dust overlay is still there. He gets behind the rocks, crumples up, and then the camera pans away. The dust still flickers. We're going to reset about here, and the rolling will start, and then he comes back in. So another failure, let me save that. Another failure was confusing transforming with moving. And so I'm going to save this and then explain that. So when you bring over an asset, you can move that asset within each frame, and it will remember its position with the move tool in each frame. But you cannot transform it without transforming that same layer in all frames. So once this is saved, I'll show you what I mean. If I wanted to do something a lot easier than rolling, I could just drop my rock from above, because that's just moving it, not rotating it, right? Not shrinking it, not distorting it, not puppet warping it, but just moving it. And that you can do without having to build extra layers. So what would that look like? Well, I would take, and then I'll not save because I don't want to do that. I've done all the work. So I would take this layer and I would do a new frame, and I'll just do it in reverse to show you. And then I just move that layer up. Okay? And notice that that layer is the same in each frame, only its position has changed, its placement. Then I make a duplicate, then I move it up some more. So this is really quite easy. Then I make a duplicate and I move it up some more, make a duplicate, move it up some more, make a duplicate, move it up some more, make a duplicate, move it up some more. So you're going to see my rock get lifted up into heaven without having to create any new layers or any new assets. Now let's play that. So moving is easy. The reason that didn't work with my roll is because I wasn't just moving it, I was also rotating it. And so each time I'd rotate it once, it would also rotate it in the other frame I used. So it would change position, but it would also make each rotation not stick with what I wanted. So that's why each of these had to be a new asset that I created and brought over. And this is what's called a motion sequence. You're learning a lot about animation here. This whole thing, this whole sequence here is a motion sequence for the roll. It takes all those assets to show the roll. I'll go ahead and save my assets so I have that in there. Now, just to remind you how you can play with the frames, it's kind of fun to see the rocks lift up, but what if I did want him to drop down instead of lift up? Well, I just have to reverse the order of the frames. So I select them, and then I can reverse using the timeline options. So now he's going to roll in, and then he's going to disappear and fall in. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to where I saved it. So I use my history. I could always just close it and not save and then reopen it. That's probably the easiest thing. A rare instance where I do not save. Then open up my stage again. All right, I also, where else did I fail? Let's see. The big failure was when I had multiple layers selected, when I brought them over, and then I started tweaking individual ones of those layers while still other layers that were turned off were selected. And when the layer is selected, it will show up in every frame. So that got me in trouble. I had to clean that up in order to get my old roll back. And that's why we have history. You know, when things aren't going the way you want, you can go back to a place where you did understand how everything was working. and we learn from our mistakes. In order to show you how the layer styles works, I showed you the dust here, but maybe at the end here where he's rolling in, let's see. Let's see, where can I show you that kind of glowing effect a little bit more clearly? So if I make a duplicate of this frame, for instance, and then I click on that character asset layer, it's another reason to kind of separate out your character from your stage. And if I change the effects now, and I give him an outer glow that's a really bold color, like red, and I make that really strong opacity, it's a soft light, really spread out, softer, right? And then I also give him an inner glow that's really spread out. And is a gradated, let's see, maybe like this. Oh no. Something like that. But red. There we go, an orangish red. Take the choke down a little. Take the opacity down a little. So let's change it to a single color. So these are a lot of fun to play with if they're appropriate to your animation idea. So what I can do then is as I duplicate that, I can vary that effect. Whoops. I just hit duplicate, which I did not want to do because I added it to every layer. Instead, I want to make a new frame, not duplicate, but a new frame. And then I can vary that effect and make that inner glow a little bit less, the outer glow a little bit less. And then basically I can flicker between those two. I can move them around. I can make a little glowing cycle just using effects. And if you want a kind of glowing eyes on your character, that's a good way to go about it. So you'll get a really quick example with just these 3 frames. But I can also just take those 3 frames, copy them, and then paste them, after the selection, and just do that endlessly if I want to create a longer and longer sequence of him glowing and it kind of flickering in and out before he picks up. Now by copying those effects into my assets and then bringing it over as a layer that I turn off for every frame, I can use those effects and put them onto any other character layer I have. But for now, I'm going to get rid of all of these. But maybe it would be nice to stay with this moment a little bit longer. So now we're thinking of timing. And I look through and I see, okay, what things do I want to spend a little bit longer on? Whoa, what happened? I don't want more failures. Okay, so this one I want to spend 0.5 seconds on. Okay, now I think I have my finished animation. And so I am ready to save it for the last time as a PSD file. The next demo will be just finishing it up and submitting all the different components.